living out here right now is starting to get a little slow, I think. Starting to get boring. The winter is setting in. It's only the start of January, but it's felt like we've had 2 months of winter already. And so I don't know what I'm going to do all winter. We've got about 3 months left before we leave, and I hope it speeds up a little. I think I got to come up with a hobby or something.
When I wake up in the morning, I look outside, and if the sun's not shining yet, I think, well, I wonder how much longer it is before I can get up and get at the day's activities. And like Deanna, I really enjoy the chores. It's something we really look forward to getting up to do and getting out and just having that, I don't know, whether you could call it camaraderie with the animals, but the enjoyment that we have of going out and working with them has really become a part of our life.
Christmas is just a memory now. The early days of the new year have taken on an unbroken rhythm of work and meals and filling in the time in between. Tim and Deanna are out the door by 7 a.m., and while the days are beginning to get longer, the homestead is in a deep freeze. It's 32 below zero.
I think she's in heat. Watch out, guys.
Like everyone on the homestead, Daisy needs a break from cabin fever. More than any of the animals, she's become a part of the family.
Daisy! Oh.
The pioneers face one final challenge: making sure everyone survives the toughest season on the Canadian prairies, the long haul from Christmas to spring. Frank and Alana rise later. They do the evening chores. Their morning ritual begins with sweeping up the sand they've dug out of a pit out back. It's homemade kitty litter, which somehow seems to get into everything. Willow, the kitten, is becoming a cat. She was a Christmas present given by Frank to Alana. Now she's a source of endless entertainment and a welcome distraction from the monotony of the daily routine.
Get the kitty litter out of the bed.
Where does the kitty litter come from?
From Frank's armpit over there where she sleeps.
No, it doesn't come from my armpit. It comes from the cat. It's like I'm shoving my armpit in the kitty litter or something.
So gross. As soon as we blow the candle out, you just hear this. She starts crying and she wanders over and gets in Frank's armpit. I don't know how she does it.
I don't know how she's going to take the deodorant when I go home. She may not be able to find it in the dark.
Here you go.
Better hook her up there.
Do you know, I really always wanted to be a farmer. I really did. And of course, Tim, that was the farthest thing from his mind. But I always thought I'd love this life, and I really do. I really do. I can really say that honestly now. Obviously, you probably didn't think I'd say that in the beginning, but I could live on a farm.
What changed?
I don't know, time. You know, good experiences out here. I don't know. I don't know. I guess I'm always committed to I do take, even though as difficult as it was, and it was difficult, very difficult. I mean, you know, I almost wanted to, I didn't want to quit, but I did want to quit. But I've come to love this life, I really have, and it's going to be very hard for me to leave.
In behind me you can see the sundog, which is the kind of a rainbow on a crystal day. When the crystals are in the air, they give sundogs on each side of the sun. There's one here, and then the same distance away from the sun. On the other side is another sundog. It's beautiful in the morning, nice and crisp.
I've never ever known a January like this for myself, anyhow. It's just beautiful. Isn't it unreal? I've never seen it that thick. I don't know if you're going to get a close-up of that, but it is so thick. That's a poster picture, I'll tell you. It's gorgeous.
While the homestead has never looked better, there's little time to stop and enjoy the view. In fact, the neighbors are here for a day of wood cutting because Tim is too weak to do the work. Illness sent him to hospital in November, and he's still recovering.
The problem that I have is the tissue surrounding my heart became infected. And so my heart doesn't work properly. If it starts to get strenuous, it can't pump properly. Medical people would be able to explain it better than I can, but that's basically what I feel, is I just don't have the strength and I just run out of steam. I work for 15, 20 minutes, usually about half an hour I can get out of it. And then I just, I'm winded and I'm just tired. I can cut firewood, but we were using more firewood than I can cut in a day. That's what we would use in 2 days. And for me to cut that in 2 days, it doesn't look like much, but my wife and I worked all day, for the two of us, an 8-hour day before I got sick, and we did one of these. That's in an 8-hour period.
That's oak, eh?
No, this is just poplar. And so the oak is just so much harder to, like it would take us twice as long, at least twice as long to do it. And when it came to the big stuff,
No way.
I think I could lift it.
What would have happened to pioneers in 1870 who had this health problem?
They'd die. Simple as that. The doctor said if I was living back in the 1870s, probably, he said, he gave me about 2 days. And that was kind of a scary thought.
Tim's health troubles aren't over. He's come down with an awful toothache.
So who's the dentist here? Oh yeah, you're my friend. I'll treat you good.
The University of Manitoba's mobile dental unit has volunteered to step back in time to do the drilling. Dr. Doug Brothwell has rummaged through the university's dental museum and come up with the latest in 19th century technology.
It's a pretty high-tech unit, even today.
He says in the 1870s, getting a filling would have been a painful experience, even with this newfangled piece of gear.
The slow speed of the handpiece created a lot of vibration. There was a lot of heat that was built up, and because the anesthetics at the time were, not very good, there was a lot of sensation to it, and there could have been a lot of pain depending on the tooth. So they, they weren't the most pleasant way to have your teeth done, but at the time, the only way.
So far, Tim isn't volunteering to try it out.
Just step back one step.
Okay, I'm not going to poke you there anymore, okay?
Good,
Okay.
because I got you right here.
I hate it. It's too noisy, too modern.
Oh, it's loud and annoying. We're not used to having that noise here. It's really weird.
For the first time, the big cabin is filled with the sounds of the 21st century. It leaves everyone imagining what having a toothache would have meant in 1875.
Beats the alternative, what they would have done.
Oh, yeah. Bottle of whiskey, pliers, and hold them down. And they had fun doing it at your expense. No wonder guys were alcoholics, eh? I'm glad it was done. Yeah, it's interesting doing laundry in the wintertime. Not sure whether it's clean or whether this is so filthy that it just kind of stands up on its own, eh?
The days of plowing and planting are long gone, replaced by another test. There are only a little more than 8 hours of daylight in early January, and Frank and Alana are feeling the need to get out of the cabin and away from the homestead for a while.
Well, we've been doing walking around the section we live on, so sort of a 4-mile loop. Just sitting around the site all the time and everything, just getting out is nice.
Has that been hard?
Yeah, I've been getting cabin fever.
Yeah.
Not so much, it surprised me, not in our cabin, but just in the site. Just feel like I need to get out of the whole 40 acres. I've been a bit frustrated lately with not, I really enjoyed the summer where we saw progress all the time. We had our jobs and you'd have the satisfaction of seeing them finish. We have time to enjoy now. We have time off, which is great. We love that, but there's something missing now, I think.
The pioneers are on their way to an appointment with the vet. Duke and Diamond live outside, with only a lean-to for shelter. The old-timers said that would be good enough. But the pioneer team has just endured the coldest December in more than a century, and the neighbors are worrying. They've noticed that the horses are losing weight. First, Dr. Luke Versavel gives Willow her shots.
Thanks, Luke.
He's also had a look at Duke and Diamond. He has bad news. The wild hay the pioneers worked so hard to collect just doesn't have enough nutritional value for this hard-working team. In fact, record June rains left a lot of local farmers with a poor hay crop.
It was a quality of food, and as I say, they were fed free choice. There was a large stack of hay. These animals, they could eat all they wanted. They wanted to eat 24 hours a day, they could. However, the nutritional value wasn't there. I mean, I'm sure these animals would eat to the point where they're full every day, but they couldn't extract enough nutrient value out of what they ate to sustain their bodily condition. Hence, they lost bodily condition.
We didn't really notice it until we saw the ribs going down, until we could start to see the ribs. So, and then not knowing exactly what we were supposed to do, we just let them eat more and more hay, which didn't do anything. So that's when we had to get other help.
A twitch is something that we use just to help ensure cooperation on the part of the horse. Okay, lad. Come up.
Luke decides to grind down the horse's teeth so they don't lose any feed while they're chewing.
Well, when they develop these sharp upper edges and lower edges, they get abrasions against the tongue from the lower teeth and against the cheeks from the upper teeth. A horse that has sores out in the mouth, I mean, they cause them discomfort all the time. So there's that issue. So they tend to spill a lot of finer feed out of the mouth. Plus, they don't do as good of a job of grinding their feed.
If horses can't grind their feed properly, they don't get the most out of the grain. Filing their teeth is a common practice, usually done once a year. It doesn't hurt them.
Too high for you, or?
No, that's good.
Duke and Diamond's well-being is a priority. They're lucky, and so are the pioneers. In the early days, there was no vet around with 21st century advice, and often, in lean times, no money to get any help at all.
Good. Or we look at the dirty 30s here, where people had no income, no feed for their livestock, and some of these animals went on to starve and die. It probably did happen.
At least 2 months of hard winter are left. Duke and Diamond have already lost 200 pounds fighting the elements. That's more than 10% of their body weight. They'll need some special care to get them back into shape. Lindsay Hamill, a neighbor, will supply the pioneers with a 21st century mixture of high-protein alfalfa and grass. It will help put some bulk back on the horses. Today, Lindsay will deliver the feed the old-fashioned way, just for fun.
You know, they just slowly lose body condition. You guys see them every day and you don't see it, but then somebody that doesn't see them all the time.
Would the
And
cold
then all of a
December
sudden the
have
horses, oh, definitely.
a big impact on
Definitely.
that?
They're outside, they're fighting the elements all the time. It's hard on them. So.
The feed for Duke and Diamond has come from the modern world. But here in Argyll, draft horse know-how has been passed down from one generation to the next and the next. And that's turned out to be a blessing for the pioneers.
I find it amazing that that well has not gone down a bit to speak of since we dug it. It's nice and clear. Nice clear water.
The pioneers take a quiet pride in their wells. They've designed and built them so they won't freeze, even on the coldest days. There are endless trips for water, but each one is a reminder of this success.
We give them about 40 pounds of hay per horse per day. And they don't quite finish it up, so that's nice. We know that they're getting enough.
I'm just making dumplings for our chicken stew. You know, it's amazing. Our food is pretty much, we don't have a great variety, but enough of a variety. It's amazing how simple cooking is simple. Now, I know that sounds stupid, but how simple cooking is really simple and delicious.
Thank you, Father, for this food and for the nice weather. In Jesus' name, amen.
Lunch is always a big meal. It's a chance to gather and complain about the weather.
The nice weather is like -30.
Yeah.
It's sunny.
But it is sunny.
Yeah, we could have a blizzard. Be happy.
And then debate the dozens of small decisions that are a part of daily life on every farm.
I milked Daisy this morning.
She's getting a thing.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yes, on which one?
The back left.
Back left. It's
It was the
always
size
the
of
one,
a
isn't it?
pimple. Yeah. Well, that whole, have you noticed that whole
Yeah, that whole area.
corner is all,
Exactly.
it doesn't
yeah.
give as much milk either.
No, it doesn't.
The only thing that's missing from the pioneers' table is homemade bread. An expert baker, Heather Lair, has volunteered to show Alana and Deanna how to whip up some traditional loaves from scratch.
Next topic.
Well, we've done buns. We've each done buns.
Yeah, we made.
And
I made
cinnamon
whole wheat.
buns.
You made white.
I made
right?
white buns, and we made cinnamon buns.
Lots of biscuits, but the bread we've been checking.
We've just
with.
been too busy.
We kept waiting for Heather.
Yes, right, and the recipes and things, yes. This is a little dark because I put too much molasses in it. It would be a little bit lighter. And it's just a basic oatmeal bread leavened with yeast. And the other one is the rye oatmeal bread. And it would have been typical of this time too, in that it's the shape, it doesn't require a pan, and the type of flour that was used, and the density of the bread. And there was a time when people, if they wanted bread, they had to make bread. That's what Emily says. She says, Mommy, that's like your belly.
That's like after you had a kid.
That's my rotten little brat kid that says that. So salt.
It's like a after pregnancy stomach.
Yeah, and you don't want too much flour, just enough to. Here, we're gonna have to get a spoon. The extra mashed potato.
I don't even know how to do this properly.
It'll come. Actually, just sort of dump it out. When you stick your finger in, if it stays, it's risen enough. If it's not ready, it'll pop right back out. What you do from here is gently push it a little bit. Don't bang it down, like just divide it. And now you roll it this way, those edges in. And then pull it down and turn it. See, I'm pulling down with my hands here.
I don't know. I had this feeling that bread was so hard to do and that it would take us lots of tries to get it to work. It's almost embarrassing now because it looks like it was actually pretty easy. Let the boys be happy tonight. Oh wow.
You do it with the applique.
It's all applique. And that's in 1871 too.
While the bread is baking, Heather has more knowledge to share. She's an experienced quilter, and these are designs from the 1870s.
Little ones. You see, this is the quilting.
Oh, that's gorgeous. Me too.
The importance of
The baking and the quilting reveal a truth about pioneer life. If you wanted a quilt, you had to sew it yourself or learn the craft from someone else. A settler's day was filled with tasks like this, tasks that look simple, but take plenty of skill and practice.
So now you see you have to.
Really into this.
Now you have to do.
I was until today when it seemed technical all of a sudden.
Okay.
Oh. And when I love it, I like seeing the
So with
finished
this kind of
product.
sewing, you just sort of disregard these.
No, I really like it.
It's just.
I love being busy, but we have a lot of time to sit right now. So it's something to do.
Oh, it's great.
Yeah,
get
it
a
makes you
nice
feel
quilt out
useful
of it,
even though you're sitting. And I think especially for me right now, it's something to take home. It's kind of a memory from here. This is the finished thing. It just needs to be ironed flat. But it matched up good. Heather gave us little details of how to match all the seams up and backstitch and make it good and durable. So it worked good. It smells like beer.
That's yeast.
Yeah. Look at this one. It's like one of those wiener in a bun. That's a beginner one.
Rado, are you a lazy dog? It's a beautiful winter day.
Finding a good reason to get out of the house has become important, even on frosty days. Tim's convinced the others to help him with a winter harvest. He spotted willow bushes growing in the ditches, and it's given him an idea that will keep him busy until spring.
In the olden days, and even now, boredom is one of the biggest killers, eh? And if you're, Deanna, maybe just take it at an angle when you're cutting it. But boredom is big time killer, I think. When you got something like this to do, especially, it's gives you a sense of accomplishment, which makes you feel better.
It's turned out to be a great way to spend an early February afternoon. One cold day follows another now. Tonight, the temperature will fall to 32 below. Tomorrow, 35 below. A lot of time will be spent indoors.
I did think that perhaps in January I would be a bit bored or if it was going to be extremely cold, to perhaps get a bit bored. But January flew by and February is flying by. I don't have enough time. I'm not bored one bit.
Tim gets busy making willow furniture and crafts. The mud and mosquitoes of summer all but forgotten in the quiet comfort of the Treadway cabin.
Not bad, eh? Works good.
What you doing?
Building a chair. Getting better. Got an outhouse so far.
sit in this thing and see if it's even got any comfort in it. It doesn't look comfortable.
Oh, it is.
Is it?
Oh, it is, yeah. Oh, it's so wonderful, isn't it? Oh, it's wonderful. It's wonderful. These could be a bit higher. A stinky armpit. Craig! Definitely need deodorant.
Now don't have too much fun or we won't use this.
We need soap for washing dishes, for washing our clothes, having a bath.
Nothing the matter with that.
Good. Okay. Well, we made this a couple of days ago with, we rendered down beef fat, some pork, lye, and a little bit of borax in it. And now we're cutting it up. Settlers, what they would do is they would, as we were reading up on this, they would make soap, enough soap for probably a year at a time. But also they would cure it. The best amount of time for curing, what we read, was 5 years. That's a good time to let a soap cure. And I didn't realize that a soap had to cure.
Well
Daisy's
done.
eating our soap here. I don't know what she was licking. Okay, sorry. Daisy.
Very friendly cow.
Meanwhile, the pioneers are relieved. The horses are putting on weight and picking up energy. And with each passing day, the sun is higher in the sky.
There they go, kicking up their heels.
Everyone is enjoying these afternoons, especially Tim, who's finding it's important just to spend some time on the porch.
A little bit of pain in the old body that I guess 50 years of use has to put the body to use, and it kind of gets tired after a while. I guess the knees are really taking a killing, and right now I'm having quite a hard time even just, well, it just plain hurts all the time, and you hate to complain about your health, but sometimes you just have to admit that you've got something that's bothering you. And it's been an interesting year with a few pains that I've had, and but I guess when you take a 21st century softie and throw them into the 1870s, you've got a lot of work that has been put through the year. And I'm sure that I know that the settlers, when they came over, I'm sure some of them never realized the amount of work that they would have to go through, and the difficulties, the pains in their bodies. I guess I've never felt so good physically and been to the hospital so often.
Well, it's Valentine's Day, February the 14th, and I'm busy making Tim something. Shh, don't tell him. And also, it's bread making day. Started making bread this morning. It's rising over there by the stove. And by the end of the day, we should have 2 nice loaves of bread. It's a beautiful day. It's very cold out, though. Probably 20 below Fahrenheit, and that outhouse was mighty cold this morning.
I think, like many settlers, brought their wives over, kicking and screaming, and then the transformation of a lifestyle when the spouse has that attitude change and she enjoys it and wants to be a part of it. You really move forward quickly and with tremendous sense of satisfaction and pleasure working with each other.
Thank you. Wow, what a lot of work. Bread with our borscht. Great, one for Alana and Frank and one for us.
And it's a pin cushion, but I was able to cross stitch a little hard on it. And it's funny because I wouldn't normally think to use one at home, but out here it's so much easier because at night I've got them all in a little tiny wooden box and I'm always trying to pick them out and I can't see what I'm doing. So this will be great because we're doing a lot of sewing now and it's easy. So it's fun and it turned out pretty good. So it's nice to get little ideas of crafts out here, because little things that you can see get done in a day are kind of encouraging, rather than these big projects like quilts that take so long to do.
This morning I came out and it was Valentine's Day, and this was my Valentine's present from Alana. So she did this with beet juice. So it's kind of a nice surprise.
Alana spends her Valentine's afternoon stoking the stove and making a quilt for her sister Amy, who will turn 18 in a few weeks. She'll miss the celebration.
I was gonna actually do a few flowers like this and then just kind of frame them and hang them on the wall. But this flower took me all day. I think it took me about 8 hours. You have to cut out all the little pieces of paper and sew them on paper and then attach them all, and it took so long. So I thought, maybe I'll just make her a quilt, and then it's something that she can keep forever, and it'll remind her of when we were here. So I did little things. I wrote Miss You Wanted, and then I wrote her nickname here, which you can't really see, Amer, and Sis, and little things. So I'm gonna do this quilt, and Frank's gonna help me attach it, he said.
Frank's discovered the 19th century classics, Tolstoy, Dostoevsky, and Dickens. Today, he's making a valiant last-minute attempt at turning some deer hide into a pair of Valentine moccasins for Alana.
I think you're supposed to sew with 2 needles. Who ever came up with this stitch before?
He's got the guy trying to sew.
Thanks. You didn't even know what a saddle stitch was. Shows you how much you know. Everything's too big. My dad made one a pair of these. Oh, these were too small. You know what? Maybe they'll fit me. In which case, sorry. You get nothing.
Okay. I can just imagine what's coming. Yeah, see, that's maybe just right, a little big for you. Isn't that a coincidence?
So is that it for the Valentine present?
I think so.
Yeah, I guess.
She's always telling me I'm spent too much time reading and not doing crafts, so I try and make her something.
He's good at this kind of stuff, though. He does a feeble attempt, and he screws it up on purpose. That's his excuse. See, look, I can't do it.
Look, I got all these forms. I was measuring her feet. Everything was down. You know, look at this.
Look at you, even blood all over
I
it.
cut myself. I was bleeding all over it.
It's early March, and sleigh rides have become a pleasure, especially on sunny afternoons traveling down the old Settlers Trail to Lindsay Hamill's farm. In fact, the sun is already chasing winter away, and that's turning out to be a problem.
Yeah, we're pretty well down to just the trails like we're on today. They still have snow. The roads have all the snow's melted off of all the roads and gone to gravel, and so we can't take the sleigh on there. So we're gonna have to be switching to the wagon soon. But for where our place is and everything, we can only get in there with the sleigh. You know, we need the wagon for the road and the sleigh for the homestead type thing. Hopefully we don't, if we get a big snowstorm, then we're gonna have to be switching back to the wagon, and this box to change back and forth, I think it takes 5 or 6 guys to do, so.
No blizzard yet, though.
No big blizzard yet.
Are we tempting the gods by saying that?
Yeah, I hope we can stay away, but, with the way our luck is going, we're gonna have 4 feet, probably in April. There'll be snow till June, I'm sure.
Frank's picking up some high-quality grain from the Hamills, something the pioneers have to do to keep the horses in top form. For a moment, Frank steps into the 21st century, then returns to the past. For now, Tim's making the most of his free time. It's unlikely willow furniture would have been a priority in the 1870s, but then these pioneers have no reason to cut next year's firewood or prepare for another crop. And more, it's becoming hard not to think about that.
We know leaving is coming up. We know we've kind of done a lot of the pioneer stuff here. And so that's what's hard. Once in a while we feel guilty and think we got to get more in the pioneer mindset, and we can't because we're thinking of leaving and what we're going to do later. And that's so important because we've got the rest of our life ahead of us, where before we just wanted to survive and, oh geez, I hope we get through the cold and I hope our animals are okay, and we had enough else to worry about. And now we know we've kind of done it and it's going to be okay. And unless something absolutely tragic happens, we're here and nothing's going to make us leave. So yeah, it's a bit different that way.
You know, we don't have the same mindset that they did. We don't have the same motivation. You know, our minds are now going 3 months from now where we're going to be going totally different than where they'd be going. So.
And we've been getting so much sleep that sometimes now we wake up in the middle of the night and just start chatting. We did that again last night. I got up to stock the stove at 2. I was wide awake. It's like I was done sleeping for the night. So I lay there for about an hour and a half and I'm like, Frank, talk to me. Let's dream. In the last 2 weeks, he's been an engineer, a pilot, an RCMP, and a plain old millwright. And I've been a nurse, a stay-at-home mom. We've had kids, we haven't had kids. We've had 2, we've had 1. What else have we done? We've moved to the bush. We've moved kind of to the bush.
We've moved to Manitoba.
We've said screw it, and we've got a condo.
Ontario.
Yeah.
We've moved to BC.
So it's never dull around here.
I'm
like teetering on the edge here.
I have to sleep exactly like this, otherwise nothing works.
The future will just have to wait. Frank and Alana must sleep on this straw mattress for a while longer, with only logs and moss between them and the great outdoors.
We read they used to have holes in them up on the top so that you can move them around, so that might be something we end up doing. I think there's a lot of mold on this side too.
Look at the wall back there. Oh, see, it's
wet. That's where it's all molding and coming through. It's pretty gross.
In the pioneer's world, the basic comforts are never taken for granted. Even these ticks, stuffed with straw, need regular maintenance.
Check it out.
See if you can. I don't know. Oh, maybe not.
Okay, well,
we'll just plop it down.
The work helps fill the winter afternoons with a sense of purpose and some laughter.
We're gonna sleep on that.
Nice and soft. You think we have too much in?
Maybe.
The evening chores belong to Alana and Frank. They punctuate the end of each and every day. The routine is helping the pioneers face down the winter, and they've settled on a relationship that makes the two couples more like neighbors than family. Most nights, Frank and Alana eat alone, the evening meal just a quick stop in their cabin. Then after supper, it's hay and oats for the horses, barley mash for the cow, eggs to collect, and there's still milking to do. The sunlight lingers into the evening now, and it's welcome.
I'm still feeling like a pioneer. My mindset is I'm still trying to be a pioneer.
Father, we thank you for this food that you've given to us. In Jesus' name, amen.
I thought about this lately, about, the name of this documentary is Pioneer Quest. We're trying to be pioneers. Are we doing that? Can we do that? And I think perhaps 95% were there. Obviously, we're not 100% like a pioneer would be living back then with the pressures that a pioneer would have, thinking about this next year, thinking about what kind of a crop we're going to be having. But in the present sense of the word, I think we are living as much of the pioneer life as possible with just a few bits of the 21st century creeping in. But no, we aren't even talking about what we're going to do when we get out of here. It's one thing that we miss out here is music. I think probably that's one thing I miss the most is music. So we've had to make our own.
The song is a gospel ballad, sung here in Portuguese. Tim and Deanna learned it doing missionary work abroad. Faith has sustained them here through illness and hard times, as it must have done for pioneers in an earlier time. Frank and Alana came here last June with the dream of a pure pioneer experience. Sometimes the past seemed elusive, but here it's real. It's been 253 days since they last stepped out of a hot shower. And there are many more days, just like this one, to come. The evening ends with a video diary. From the beginning, it's been a chance for Frank and Alana to sum up the day's events and make some sense of an experience that welds the past and the present together.
And we were talking today too about how it's staying lighter longer, which is so nice for us, especially doing evening chores.
Yeah, it's really making a difference doing chores that we're not having to do them in the dark and not having to use a lantern.
And we stay awake past 8 o'clock now, so it's kind of nice.
Staying up late. Stay up till 10. The only thing is then we have to find something to do for that extra hour we stay up.
Oh boy.
It's just 100 more pages we'll read of our books.
Another square to quilt.
That's it?
Yeah.
Half the time, like to us, life out here is just simple and it's nice and quiet and easy. Where probably if you stuck the normal person in the living room out here, right now it would drive them nuts and they wouldn't know how to handle it. Yeah, a normal person out here, you know, the fact that just how we are, you know, staying in front of each other, going to the washroom, or just what you wash in, or, you know, just getting used to going out at minus 30 is just like nothing.
We are losing perspective because I remember when we first applied for this and we heard that there wouldn't be toilet paper, we thought it was a joke. And I remember thinking, that's crazy. Why would I do that? And, you know, this is all stuff we've gotten used to, and it's kind of a weird thing because after this, I think you could really do absolutely anything crazy and weird in life because stick someone in a situation, if you have to, you'll get used to it, no matter how extreme it probably is. She's on your side, Frank.
It's been a good day, eh?
Yeah.
Good night.
Good night.
Next time on Pioneer Quest. At last, spring arrives. Then leaves again. And then there are new weather worries.
I came to check the road because I have to do pickup tomorrow. So I was trying to see how wet it is, and it's just horrible.
Join us for the final hour of Pioneer Quest, a year in the real West.
This is just incredible because this is the one potato that we harvested last year from our potato crop, from 2 75-pound bags of seed potatoes that we planted. I kept this one. I just wanted to keep it because we did have one.
This is the only thing we got out of 150 pounds of potatoes.
Yes. But isn't this incredible? Now it's sprouting.
Maybe it'll grow into 150
But
pounds
there's
of
a
potatoes.
real lesson in this, you know, that this thing had to die because it was completely dead. And here it's sprouting.
Let's take a real close look at it.
Well, it's March 15th today, and it's my little sister Amy's birthday today, her 18th birthday. So I made her a quilt, and she gets it today, and I so badly wish I could see her face and just see how happy she is when she gets it, hopefully. So happy birthday, Amy. She's got a lot of time on her hands.
She hand stitched this whole thing?
So that's about it.